Welcome to another episode of Lights, Camera, Conversation. Today we're on site at Enerpac in Cramlington. Here we have Chris and John talking about, well, a lot of the work we've done for the past 2 years, which involves filming, editing, and some 3D animation. So let's dig into it, guys. So guys, where does this all start?
Oh, take us back. Yeah.
2-3 years, maybe more ago, we've been kind of doing stuff together.
Yeah, I think it was to kind of to build the library, wasn't it?
Yeah, you know, the original ask to get you guys on board is we realised a lot of our marketing was very static based. We wanted to build up, you know, our library of our products through video and motion just to elevate what we were doing.
Yeah, and it was to really kind of to home in on the product series, with building our brand with kind of the core values of it. So that being kind of durability, precise nature, but ultimately safe in every scenario of application or any kind of industry.
So I remember very early on that we had a video call and you just opened up like an Excel document. I'm just going to go through some of the products we've got to try and film over the summer and the coming months, and your list just went on. I'm like,
yeah.
Oh, and then it then became tab 2. It was maybe a tab 3. I don't remember. I think I just panicked too much at that moment, but yeah.
The tier rolled out, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was a vast list and we had to like kind of break it down, but it was our top sellers. And for any kind of customer who's needing that, that's our core value of what the business is about hydraulic kind of mechanisms. So that's applied to just not only cylinders, but every product we do, or mostly. And it was a vast list, but we had to tone it down. We had to kind of get that done in a very short space of time. We might have not done that in 5 days, but ultimately we've got the biggest sellers there to ultimately drive more sales as well.
So yeah, because you were doing a lot of the graphic design, After Effects, and a bit of editing, I believe.
Yes.
So we kind of came in to facilitate kind of mainly the filming bit and the editing bit, because there was going to be a huge amount of videos that we were going to do.
Yeah, that was our kind of the reach out for, because the limitations and the scope of what we were trying to do, it just couldn't rely on one person or one team. We needed experience and that industry experience as well there to film this, and having that kind of background, then we could focus on the product applications and you could help and supply the footage and the technical know-how, because at that time you'd done 11-12 years experience in the industry and you knew it well. You knew the safety protocols, you knew how to set up, you knew the kind of core kind of industry that works and what sells basically. So it was a no-brainer for us to kind of to use your facilities and use kind of your support.
We could go to a set or location and just film several in one place, do all the hero shots, do all the slider shots, do all the actions where an engineer's hand would come in and either do the pumping, press something, do something, whatever it might be. Or we could just churn it out, one after another, and just move one in.
It was to show the actions of the product being placed, because actually the rise and the low and the lift of it as well there, and just to show it like in an application form, the operations of it, and then how it would be taken away, and then hero shots. So it was like a planned kind of exercise to get as much footage as possible. So we had a big bank of footage to use in selling the product itself, ultimately with the script itself.
So when I was at university, we were mates. Whenever we made are going to make a film, we would do what we'd call an LA takedown.
Oh.
So we'd kind of shoot a very rough version of it, like a previs thing. But we called it an LA takedown because Michael Mann, who directed Heat, very else good film since, he essentially remade Heat, but it started off as LA Takedown as a TV movie.
Right.
And then got some more budget and made Heat. So essentially Heat and LA Takedown are the same thing. It's the same story. So it's like, well, we need to do an LA Takedown of this, an LA Takedown. And then when you're writing it down, it became shorthand to an LAT. So it'd always be, we got LAT there. So we did an LA Takedown for you for that in our car park.
In the car park, yeah. And on that, you know, that efficiency piece.
So making that engaging to our audience, we had to use your technical know-how, but speed ramps. We had to kind of create that speed. We had to create that engagement. We had to create that kind of, not just waiting for an hour, half an hour to one product to do that. We had a short space time to make it happen quicker, to then kind of move on to 16 products ultimately, or 16 ranges.
Yeah, because that was an early thing that I realized with your cylinders. They move a small amount very, very slow.
Yes.
So if something doesn't really move in frame, then you've got to move the camera.
Yes.
So whether it's on the gimbal or the slider, and whether it's the lens, if you use a wider lens, you get it lower and bigger, it exaggerates everything. Like you already mentioned, kind of speed ramp certain things as well.
Yeah.
There's some things we couldn't really speed ramp because it's kind of cheating, because we didn't want to, again, have something lift up and speed it up 4 times and one of your customers go, oh, that's really quick, we'll get that one. So it was a balance of make it very obvious when we're speeding something up, of start really wide and have a really fast ramp, the camera moving right up to the tool, and then do it. So
Yeah, it was
trying to cheat anyone.
It was that controlled movement that makes it ultimately safe. So then someone obviously would look at it and view it and say, well, that controls to a point, but ultimately they're going to do it in incremental lift slowly, that they can lift it, hold it, and then lower it as well. So then it became a more of a precise operation.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, thinking about where this media was going to be using at that end format, where we're delivering on this, when we're thinking about, you know, short 15-second adverts, you know, we don't have 5 minutes to show a full cylinder lift, you know, so you're right, you know, using the sort of the tricks of the trade to make the user see the operation of that product and not look unsafe and not, you know, skew the actual speed of the operation of that product, I think was key.
I think what really helped as well, we limited ourselves to a very small kind of frame, as it were, because we kind of recreated a kind of port, as it were, in your car park.
Yes.
Because you had some shipping containers that you used for storage. So we already had, this kind of looks like a port anyway. So at one point you found a big watering can and we tried to make it look like it was raining. It worked pretty well, I thought.
It did, yes. I was surprised of how well on the camera side of it, but when you stand over with the way you've done this is just ridiculous type of thing. But ultimately, we were trying to get that water. It can work in any condition type of thing, heat and cold conditions, but as well as kind of different climate weather as well. So it just was a different dynamic to do there. It was a creative idea that we didn't think about at the beginning of it, but halfway through we introduced this durability of many different environments.
Yeah, because I remember at one point we thought, could we like throw some sand or some other bits in it, and like that's going to look a bit rubbish. If it doesn't look good, then we shouldn't do it. But we can make it kind of rain, and that looked good. Yeah. So we just kind of stuck to that, didn't we?
There was a few times that we're trying to get the right wind effect onto it as well. But the closer we went in and the shot that you kind of finished with at the time, that it really looked like it was wet. It was coming down quite heavily as well there. So and then it showed the product in its natural environment with harsher conditions, because that will happen on site. That's just in any part of the region or the globe.
Yeah, the one time in the UK where it doesn't rain when you want it to.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
But then we had other challenges as well with the sunlight to create kind of different, getting the yellow or getting the brand really sharp and crisp as well there. And the conditions changed throughout the day, if not all the 5 days as well there. And that light effect was really difficult to control, but ultimately we managed to achieve it with different results. And one time we put a cardboard box over the top of the shipping containers just to block the sun out, which is something that I would never have thought about today, but it's that little ingenuity from yourselves. And that's why I kind of will look for your support, because it's that little twist of like kind of idea to it.
We had a gold reflector as well. I don't know if you remember. I got one of the reflectors, put the gold side on it, rigged it up to a light stand, and we could just aim it. So you'd have this really nice gold light right on front on the tools that just made it glow and look amazing, I thought. But of course, you couldn't do that when the sun wasn't out, but whenever it was, it's like,
of course,
get the gold on.
Yeah.
It's like moment, like, look.
And then also, if you remember, there was a point when we did do a lot of the water and can the water, the sheen on the kind of the floor reflected from the gold.
Yeah,
and that made the light pop or the yellow pop even further. So then it was like kind of a double layer, but we hadn't done that in earlier shots, so we had to kind of like switch between them type of thing. But it was a different lighting effect. It was different conditions. It showed a different environment from being like kind of a drier day to a more advanced rainier day. So then there was two different shots as well again for the different
making
conditions.
the ground wet is always a great thing, because it obviously reflects any type of the colours and light. Because the shipping containers were various different colours. We moved along 3 different colours now and again to make it look, try and change it. It was same but different.
Yeah,
so
for us as well, that variety, you know, with the goal of trying to create a library for us to use, you know, for years. You know, again, I think that gave us some extra color splashes here to contrast with our products, but also when that end user sees that, there's a bit of variety in that. And, you know, it wasn't exactly the same product lined up against the same background over and over again.
And it takes a lot of coordination between all parties to be able to do that. It's not just, you didn't just give us a list and went, yeah, we need all he's doing, just come and film them. It doesn't work like that. You had to put in a lot of effort, and we could tell that your end to organise a lot here. And it wasn't just us turning up. We all kind of collaborated together, pre-production a lot beforehand, came here for recce and all that sort of stuff. And then obviously throughout the editing for the 3D, you know, and still
Yeah, having that kind of communication was key in pre-organisation, but the safety element, making sure everybody was safe on site was a major factor for us. But working with you beforehand, even ironing out the smaller details, getting the products in, what were the products going to look like, even doing a small little visual storyboard beforehand, if it was rough, if it was high polished, it doesn't matter. It was just the more we got earlier, the more locations, the more footage we got, or even pictures of the locations to find out where to go, was key to kind of being on site, knowing when we're going, knowing what we're doing, and knowing how we're going to shoot, and knowing what the blockage of time we had to do that. And having that pre-call, having the pre-shoots with, or even the pre-calls with the site managers, really emphasised the speed of what we could do, more efficiency. Collaboration is key in that early stages, and getting everyone on board and then driving at the same point, so then everyone knows what they're doing every point of the day.
That's great. I think that's a good point to end. Like, it's so far been great working with you guys, so hopefully there'll be more at some point soon.
Definitely.
I totally agree with that. I mean, as I said before, and thank you again for your support and all of the efforts you have as well. But looking forward to the next endeavour and the next adventure.
Yeah, and the next 4,000 tabbed versions of Excel.
Bring it on. All right. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Thank you.
See you, everyone.
Bye-bye.